Imagine waking up tomorrow, or maybe in your surrounding. Everyone is gifted around you. One is naturally smart, one is naturally intelligent, one has a photographic memory, another one is stronger. Someone else learns everything in half the time. Like one is handsome, he can become the model, actor. One has a good vocal skill, he can become singer. One can play every instrument. One guy is topper. One guy has very intelligent mind. He has a gifted brain. He builds an empire on his own. And there is you, working twice as hard just to stay average. Sounds unfair, right? But here is the strange part. What if being untalented was actually Asta's greatest advantage? Stay with me because by the end of the story, you might stop fighting your own weaknesses. In the world of Black Clover, magic is everything. Without magic, you are nobody. You're just nothing. You're invisible. People respect power, they fear power, they worship power. You have heard that. The strong suppress the weak, they bully the weak. And there is a boy, Asta, with nothing, no magic, not even a tiny shade of magic. Imagine being born into a football world where you don't have legs. That's how impossible Asta's dream looked. Everyone laughed. Even the people who loved him quietly believed he would fail. But they missed one thing, and that one thing changed everything. Most of think our biggest problem is the lack of talent. You would be like, I wish I had IQ. I wish I had her confidence. I wish I had the consistency of Cristiano. I wish I was born lucky. I wish I was born in the family of rich. I would have born in the family of billionaire. I wish I was as good looking as him. I wish I was as tall, as handsome as I could have his body. That's exactly how comparison traps us. We don't compare our effort. We compare our behind the screen to someone else's highlight reel, which has taken 2 hours of effort to just edit that 10-second reel. And slowly, we start trying before life even says no. You never know because you never started. Fun enough, the strongest precision isn't failure. It's the belief that someone else was born with everything you needed. You never see anyone's effort, you just see their result. You know that that person can make a beautiful painting in just 1 minute. You know a person can run 100 meters in 9 seconds, but you have never seen their effort. They have trained their body, especially for 10 years, just to make that thing possible in 10 seconds. And from there continued something that changed his life. Asta's daily training. Consistency beats talent. His rival, he has talent. Talent creates expectation. Hard work creates resi- resilience. Your best friend is called a genius. Your classmates are praised. Teachers never expect greatness from them. But every time people look at you, they smile. Not because they are proud, because they feel sorry for you. They have sympathy for you. But here is the question. Would you still chase your dream if the whole world had already decided you would fall? Because that's exactly how as the story begins. And what most people call his biggest weakness actually became the reason he won. It's the story about something much more painful. Just being born ordinary. In the world that only respects extraordinary people. But here is the strange part. The strongest person in the kingdom started as the weakest. How? Not because of luck, not because of his talent, not because of his destiny, and definitely not because he suddenly became talented. The answer is only one thing. And stay till the end because that same decision can completely change you how you see your own life. You know, in this modern world, that is, the more marks you have, the more respect you receive. The more money you have, the more respect you receive. But in his life, the more magic you have, the more respect you receive. Imagine living in a world where your exam marks decide your value as a human being. Sounds familiar? That's us, doesn't it? For many students, it already feels like that. Now imagine scoring zero every single time. That's what life felt like for Asta. He was an orphan, and his rival, they ate the same food, slept under the same roof, dreamed the same dream to become the wizard king. But as they grew older, something changed. Yono's magic awakened. People stared in disbelief. This kid is a genius. He is freaking monster. He has unbelievable potential. Even adults admire him. Then everyone looked at Hasta with sympathy, waiting for his magic. Nothing happened. Days passed, month passed, year passed, still nothing. Can you still imagine that feeling? Standing beside your best friend, watching him become everything you wanted to be, while you couldn't even take the first step. Most people would have quietly accepted defeat. They would have shame and they would have left that village. But that's not. Asta was. Most people would have changed their dream, they would have blamed their fate. Asta did something completely different. Instead of asking, why am I unlucky, he asked, what can I do? What can I control? What is in my hands? It sounds simple, but almost nobody does this. We spend hours complaining about how things we never choose. Our height, our family, money, talent, past. Asta couldn't control any of those, so he stopped wasting energy on them. Instead, he trained every day, every single day. And here is where the real story begins. Because what happened next, nobody in the Clover Kingdom saw coming. Every morning before the sun even rose, Asta was already outside. Push ups, sit ups, and that Saitama's training. Lifting logs, swinging heavy sword that normal kids couldn't carry. People laughed, what's the point? You don't even have the magic. Imagine preparing for an exam when everyone already knows you're going to fail. Most people would quit. Asta didn't. Think about it, you yourself. Like you're a student who is extremely at the bottom of his class in the whole school. Even an elementary kid can do more better than you. His marks are better than you. Most people would quit, but Asta didn't because he wasn't training for today's result. He was training for tomorrow's opportunity, and that's a mindset very few people have. And here is something interesting. Yono was gifted. He was talented. He was naturally born with that. But Asta wasn't. But did you notice something? Yono never looked on Asta. He never asked you because deep inside, even Yono knew something was different about him. Talent made Yono respected, but effort made Asta unforgivable. The world notices talent first, the result first, but it remembers perseverance. Just think about your own life. How many talented people from school disappeared because they stopped trying? And how many our students slowly caught up because they refused to quit? Life isn't a 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon. Then came the day every child had been waiting for the ceremony. One by one, everyone received their magic books. Yuno received the legendary four lip glow. Everyone cast a prodigy, the future wizard king, the talented, the monster. Once everyone was surprised, everyone applauded, everyone respected him. But then stepped forward. Asta, silence, nothing happened, no grimmer, no magic, no applause, just whisper. Then laughter. Some looked at him with pity, others with amusement. Imagine standing in front of your entire class and becoming the joke. Means after a topper, the topper who scored 100 out of 100, then you go there, 0. That wasn't just embarrassment, it was heartbreak. That evening, Asta finally broke down. For a moment, he even questioned his dream. Maybe they were right. Maybe some dreams aren't meant for people like me. Have you ever felt that? After failing an exam, getting rejected, watching your friends move ahead, you start asking, what if I'm simply not enough? Here is the dangerous part. Failure doesn't destroy most dreams. Believing failure defines you. Asta stood at the exact crossroad, and what happened next changed not only his life, but the entire kingdom. Because just when everyone believed his story was over, his real story was about to begin. Life asked him one final question. Will you protect your dream, even if nobody believes in it? At that very moment, Yuno was attacked by a thief who wanted his legendary four-leaf grammar. The same person who praised Yuno did nothing. They watched. Because talking about courage is much easier than showing it. But Asta, the person with no magic, ran straight to attention, not because he knew he could win, because he couldn't watch his brother suffer. Sometimes your true character only appears when success is impossible. Asta was beaten, thrown to the ground. He had no magic, no weapon, no chance. And the thief laughed. You can't protect anyone. For 1 second, the entire world went silent. Then there comes the moment a black drummer appeared, a five-leaf glow, not shining with beautiful magic, but surrounded by darkness. Inside it, a giant anti-magic sword. Ironically, the only person who could use a sword that cancelled magic was the boy who had no magic at all. Think about that. The thing everyone mocked became the exact reason he could wield a power nobody else could. Here is something strange about life. The qualities you hate about yourself sometimes become your greatest advantage. Maybe you're quiet. That one become deep focus. Maybe you failed many times. That can become resilience. Maybe you weren't naturally gifted. That can become discipline. Just think about it. You're naturally good at storytelling, but not good at school. You can become a great storyteller. You're not meant for that thing because you're naturally good at something. You are ahead of most of the people, but you don't know how to use that. You just need to awaken that talent. Means you have something in yourself, but you don't know what it is. Because struggle doesn't automatically make people stronger. But when someone refuses to give up despite struggle, their identity changes, and that opportunity comes. Asta never waited to feel confident. He acted first. Confidence followed later. Most people wait for confidence before taking action. That's why they stay stuck. Let's be honest, if Asta had been born with incredible magic, would he have trained like a maniac every single day? Probably not. His weakness forced him to build habits that talented people would never do. And those habits eventually made him stronger than many of them. This reminds me of something from the book that tiny actions repeated every day quietly becomes your identity. Even Bruce Lee himself said that. I don't fear anybody who practices 100 moves 100 days, but I fear one person who practice one move 100 days. Asta didn't wake up one morning as a hero. He became one because day one to one day. One workout, one failure, one decision at a time. But here is the plot twist every black fan overlooks. Asta's greatest battle was never against demon. It was against the voice inside his own head that give up, quit, and that. In the same pattern, millions of us fight every day because we think they are not enough. We mostly remember the Black Clover because of explosions, the fight, the transformation, the victories. But almost nobody notices the biggest fight in the entire story. It wasn't against a demon, neither against a magic knight. It was against a single thought. Maybe they are right about me. Maybe I should give up. I am not born for the greatness. That's the thought that destroys more dreams than fun were ever could. Not because it's loud, because it sounds like your own voice. Maybe you have never fought with anti magic, but you have fought your own battles. Walking into an exam hall while everyone lay more prepared, watching your friends get selected while your name wasn't on the list, opening social media and feeling like everyone is moving ahead except you. Someone buys a new phone, someone get into their dream college, someone lands a job, someone become too much rich, and you start questioning your own worth. Funny thing is, people post their victories, not the night they cried, not the failures, not the self-doubt, not the comparison, not the struggle. To someone else's movie trailer, of course you will feel behind. Asta never tried to become you. He became a better version of Asta. That's why their rivalry worked. It wasn't jealousy, it was inspiration. Today, many of us waste years trying to copy someone else's path. Someone studies because their parents wanted it. Someone chooses a career because society respects it. Someone hides who they are because they fear being judged. But think about it. If Naruto had tried to become Sasuke, would he have ever become Hokage? If Asta tried to become Yuno, would he have ever unlocked anti-magic? Your greatest strength begins the moment you stop chasing someone else's identity. There is an old Stoic idea from Marcus. The obstacle becomes the way. Most people see obstacles as signs to stop, but sometimes the obstacle is pointing toward the person you are meant to become. Buddhism teaches something similar. Pain is part of life. Suffering grows when we keep growing reality instead of responding to it wisely. Asta never complained about not having magic. He accepted reality and worked with what he had. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's refusing to waste energy on what you can't change. Because you need to know what is in your hand, what you can do now. Imagine meeting Asta before the first mission. Dirty clothes, no magic, no respect, no proof that he had ever succeeded. Would you believe in him? Honestly, most of us wouldn't. Because we judge people by what they have today, not by who they are becoming tomorrow. Now ask yourself something. What if you are in your own before chapter? What if people are underestimating you? Because your story hasn't reached its best episode yet. Every great anime has moments where the hero looks completely defeated. If the story ended there, they would never become legends. So why are you trying to end your own story in the middle of the hardest arc? It's the test. It's the obstacle you have to pass. Asta wasn't chosen because he was special. He became special. He became worthy of that thing. Because he refused to stop showing up. Maybe life hasn't given you the best start. Maybe someone else has more talent, has more resources, more money, more opportunity. But none of these things decide how your story stands. Because your story is entirely different. But they only decide how your story begins. You are the one who can choose your story. And sometimes the person who starts with nothing learns everything. So next time you think I'm not talented enough, remember Asta, not because he had anti-magic, but because he proved that determination can become a power of its own. Maybe your biggest weakness isn't the end of your story. Maybe it's the first page of your greatest chapter. If you ever learned anything from this, comment one word. Never give up. Or tell me the weaknesses you have always hated about yourself. That might actually be your greatest strength. Because who knows, someone reading your comment might find the hope they needed today.